The sirens weren't blaring, the lights weren't flashing, but his presence felt just as invasive as any raid. Officer Bradley Kane leaned against his patrol car, arms crossed, eyes narrowed, as he watched the two children in the park. Two identical faces, dark curls, bright eyes, laughter that carried in the evening air. 12 years old twins, their sneakers slapped against the cracked basketball court pavement as they passed a worn ball between them, oblivious to the shadow creeping closer. "Hey!" Kane's voice cracked through the silence like a whip. The twins froze. Their heads snapped toward him. The ball rolled, forgotten, into the grass. "You two," Kane barked, his tone thick with disdain. "What are you doing here?" One of the twins, Jordan, swallowed hard, his small hands gripping the edge of his t-shirt. His sister, Jada, stepped closer to him, her chin trembling but defiance flickering in her eyes. "We're just playing basketball," she said softly. Kane's lips curled. "Basketball? In this neighborhood? Don't lie to me." The street was quiet, houses lined with neatly trimmed hedges, families inside eating dinner, televisions flickering in the windows. But no one came outside. No one interrupted. Curtains shifted, eyes peering from behind glass, but the silence was deafening. Jordan and Jada Carter had grown up hearing the warnings from their parents. If you see a cop, stay calm. Keep your hands visible. Don't argue. Their father, Marcus Carter, was a man who believed in discipline, respect, and above all, protecting his children. A decorated Army veteran turned firefighter, Marcus carried himself with quiet strength. His wife, Lisa, a nurse, had the same fire in her veins. But Marcus wasn't home that evening. He was working a double shift at the firehouse. Lisa was at the hospital tending to patients. And so the twins, eager for fresh air, had gone to the neighborhood park just blocks away. They had been warned not to stay out after dark, but the summer sun lingered long, and they lost track of time in the rhythm of their game. Now, standing under the weight of Officer Kane's glare, they wished they had listened. Kane stepped forward, boots crunching on the pavement. "You think I don't know what you're really doing? Kids like you, always casing houses looking for trouble. Don't play innocent with me." Jordan's heart pounded. "We're not—" "Quiet!" Kane snapped, his voice sharp enough to slice through the air. Jada grabbed her brother's arm, holding him back. Her voice shook but remained steady enough to say, "We're not causing trouble, sir." "We live here," Kane smirked. "Sure you do." "Where exactly? Show me." The twins exchanged a glance. They knew their address by heart. Marcus made sure of it. But something in Kane's tone wasn't asking. It was accusing. Jada whispered, "Maybe we should just go home." But Kane wasn't about to let them walk away. He stepped in front of them, blocking their path. His hand hovered near his holster, not touching it, but close enough to make the threat clear. "You're not going anywhere until I say so?" Jordan's chest tightened. He remembered his father's words. "Don't run. Don't fight. Stay calm." But fear clawed at his throat. Kane circled them like a wolf. "Twins, huh? Figures. Double the trouble. I should take you in right now. Loitering, suspicious behavior. Bet your parents would love that." Jada's fist clenched. Her voice cracked but carried courage beyond her years. "We didn't do anything wrong." Kane's eyes narrowed. He leaned closer, his breath hot and foul. "You think anybody cares what you did or didn't do? Out here, what I say is the law, and I say you don't belong." The words burned like acid. The twins weren't just being questioned, they were being erased. Across the street, Mrs. Ellison, an elderly neighbor who had often waved at the twins, stood frozen at her window. She wanted to intervene, to step outside, but fear rooted her to the spot. Another neighbor, a man walking his dog, paused at the corner, watching. He shook his head but kept walking. The world kept moving, as if the twins' terror was invisible. And Kane knew it. He thrived on it. "On your knees," Kane ordered suddenly. The twins' eyes widened. "What?" Jordan whispered. "You heard me," Kane barked. "Hands behind your head." "Now," tears welled in Jada's eyes. "We didn't do anything." "Down!" Kane roared, his hand brushing the grip of his weapon. Jordan grabbed his sister's hand. His voice shook. "Please, sir." "We'll just go home, please." But Kane's face twisted into a cruel grin. Too late for that? He stepped closer, towering over them. This is what happens when you people forget your place. And what Officer Kane didn't know was that the twins' father was on his way home. And when he arrived, justice would land harder than he could imagine. Jordan and Jada knelt reluctantly on the cracked asphalt, their small hands trembling as they laced them behind their heads. The rough surface bit into their knees, but they dared not complain. Officer Kane loomed above them, chest puffed, savoring the control. The evening breeze rustled leaves in the trees, yet the silence was suffocating. Jordan whispered to his sister, "It's okay. Dad will come soon." Kane caught it. His laugh was bitter, hollow. "Daddy's coming, huh? Maybe he can teach you some respect. Until then, you'll learn it from me." Meanwhile, miles away, Marcus Carter guided his pickup through the city streets after a grueling shift. His muscles ached from hauling hoses, his uniform reeked faintly of smoke, but his mind was focused only on home. He dialed his wife, Lisa, as he drove. "Almost home. How are the kids?" Lisa's voice was weary but warm. "They said they were going to the park for a bit. Should be heading back now." Marcus smiled faintly. "They know not to stay out late." But as he turned down his street, that smile faded. A cluster of neighbors stood near the park entrance, phones out, faces tense. Marcus's gut tightened. He parked hastily, leaving the engine idling as he strode toward the crowd. Back on the court, Kane barked orders like a drill sergeant gone rogue. "Face down! Now!" Jada's voice cracked, pleading. "Please, we didn't do anything wrong." Kane sneered. "Wrong is whatever I say it is." He reached for his cuffs, metal glinting under the streetlights. That's when Marcus's voice thundered across the court. "Get your hands off my children!" Kane spun, startled by the booming voice. Marcus stormed across the pavement, every inch of his frame radiating power. His firefighter's uniform clung to sweat-slick muscles, his eyes burning with controlled fury. The twins gasped, relief flooding their faces. "Dad!" Jada cried. Marcus knelt quickly, pulling his children up and into his arms. He looked them over. No bruises, no blood. But the terror in their eyes was enough to ignite a fire in his chest. He stood towering over Kane. "You got 5 seconds to explain why you've got my 12-year-olds on their knees like criminals." Kane smirked, masking his unease. "They were loitering, looking suspicious. I was questioning them." Marcus's fists clenched at his sides. "Questioning? You had them kneeling on the ground with your hand on your weapon." Kane's tone dripped with arrogance. "Don't tell me how to do my job. Maybe if your kids learned some discipline, I wouldn't have to step in." The crowd behind them gasped. Phones zoomed in, capturing every word. Marcus stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. "My kids are disciplined. They are respectful, and they are children. You crossed a line the moment you treated them as anything less." Mrs. Ellison finally pushed past her fear and shuffled onto her porch, voice trembling but clear. "He's telling the truth. That officer's been harassing them since they started playing." "I saw it all." Another neighbor chimed in, emboldened. "I did too." He never even asked who they were, just accused and threatened. Kane's confidence faltered as murmurs rippled through the gathering crowd. But still, his pride wouldn't yield. "None of that matters. They don't belong out here after dark." Marcus's voice roared back. "They belong anywhere children are safe, and clearly they weren't safe with you." Kane's face reddened, veins bulging in his neck. "You want to play tough guy? You think your army badge or firefighter gear makes you somebody? Out here I decide who stays and who goes." Marcus took another step forward, his shadow eclipsing Kane's. "You don't decide a damn thing when it comes to my family." The twins clutched their father's side, their small bodies trembling, but their eyes fixed on him with hope. "Dad," Jordan whispered, "he was going to arrest us." Marcus's eyes hardened to steel. "Not tonight." Kane, desperate to regain control, lunged forward, shoving Marcus in the chest. Gasps echoed as Marcus staggered, but didn't fall. Phones caught it all. Marcus straightened, his voice like thunder. "You just assaulted me, in front of half the neighborhood." Kane reached for his radio, but his hands shook. His authority was unraveling. The crowd pressed closer. Someone shouted, "We've got it on video!" Another added, "You're done, officer!" Kane's eyes darted, panic flickering beneath his rage. He turned back to Marcus, spitting venom. "This isn't over. You people think you can—" But before the sentence finished, fate intervened. Kane's face twisted, then went pale. His words slurred. His knees buckled. The crowd gasped as the officer crumpled to the ground, his body seizing before going eerily still. Marcus knelt instinctively, his firefighter training kicking in. He checked Kane's pulse, his jaw tightening. "Coma," he muttered grimly. Massive stroke, maybe triggered by the stress. The irony was not lost on the crowd. An officer who had tried to strip children of their humanity now lay helpless, his power gone in an instant. The twins clung tighter to Marcus, staring at Kane's unconscious body. "Dad, what happens now?" Jada whispered. Marcus looked at his children, then at the phone's recording, then back at the man who had terrorized them. What happened next would not just change their neighborhood, it would ripple far beyond. The world froze. For a moment, the only sounds were the twins' shaky breaths and the hum of distant traffic. Officer Kane's body lay sprawled on the asphalt, motionless except for the shallow rise and fall of his chest. The crowd edged closer, phones lowered slightly as reality sank in. Mrs. Ellison whispered, "Lord have mercy, he's not moving." Marcus Carter knelt, professional instincts taking over. His hands pressed Kane's neck, checking for a steady pulse. Relief flickered across his features when he found one. Weak, but present. "He's alive," Marcus announced, his voice carrying authority. "But he's in serious trouble." Jordan clung to his father's arm. "Dad, are they going to blame us?" He was yelling at us. "What if they say it's our fault?" Marcus met his son's eyes firmly. "Listen to me, both of you. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. What happens to him is on him, not you." Jada sniffled, tears streaking her cheeks. "But everybody saw—" Marcus pulled them close, his voice steady. "Everybody saw him harassing you. Everybody saw him cross the line. The truth is on our side." Someone in the crowd finally dialed 911. Within minutes, sirens wailed in the distance. A real ambulance rolled into the park, paramedics rushing out. When they spotted Marcus kneeling over Kane, one of them recognized him instantly. "Carter, you were on the fire call with us last week." Marcus nodded curtly. "Officer went down. Possible stroke or cardiac event. He needs to be stabilized immediately." The medics sprang into action, securing Kane onto a stretcher. The crowd filmed as the once dominant officer was wheeled away, powerless, his head lolling limply. Blue light soon flooded the street. 2 squad cars pulled up, officers stepping out with caution. The tension rippled instantly through the crowd. Phones shot up again, ready to record. One officer, younger and visibly nervous, approached Marcus. "We got a call." "What happened here?" Before Marcus could speak, Mrs. Ellison's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. "That man harassed these children for nearly half an hour, had them on their knees, threatened them with his weapon. Their father showed up, and then the officer collapsed. We all saw it." The crowd erupted in agreement, voices overlapping. "He crossed the line. Check our phones, we've got it on video." He treated those kids like criminals. The officers exchanged looks, realizing the gravity. This wasn't going to be swept under the rug. Marcus rose, his twins still clutching his hands. He faced the police squarely. "My children were playing basketball. That man harassed them, humiliated them, and when I arrived to protect them, he doubled down. He collapsed on his own, but not before every person here witnessed what he did." The younger officer shifted uneasily, then nodded. "We'll need statements." Marcus's tone was firm. "You'll get them, from everyone here. But know this, my children won't be silenced, not again, not ever." The crowd cheered, emboldened by his words. By the next morning, the footage had already gone viral. Clips circulated online. Kane shouting, the twins on their knees, Marcus confronting him, and finally the dramatic collapse. Headlines blared across news sites. "Officer collapses after confronting black children in park." "Father protects twins from harassment. Crowd captures entire incident." Community demands accountability after officers' abuse of power. Social media burned with commentary. Some decried systemic injustice. Others tried to defend Kane, claiming stress, misunderstanding, or protocol. But the videos left little room for doubt. At the hospital, Kane lay in a coma, machines beeping steadily. Doctors murmured about hypertension, unchecked stress, and poor lifestyle choices. But in the waiting room, his colleagues faced uncomfortable questions. Reporters crowded them, microphones shoved forward. Was Officer Kane disciplined for prior complaints? Why was he patrolling alone? Is this part of a larger pattern? The silence from his department spoke volumes. That evening, Marcus stood on the steps of the community center, his twins by his side. Dozens of neighbors gathered, cameras rolling. He spoke not as a firefighter or a veteran, but as a father. My children were treated like criminals for playing in their own neighborhood. This isn't just about one bad officer. It's about a culture that tells men like him they can abuse power without consequence. Last night proved something different. When we stand together, when we refuse to be silent, the truth wins. Jordan and Jada stood proudly beside him, holding each other's hands. The crowd erupted in applause. In the weeks that followed, the department announced an internal review. Kane remained in a coma, his career effectively over. But more importantly, the neighborhood shifted. Neighbors who once stayed silent began speaking up, demanding accountability. Parents walked their children to the park without fear. And the twins? They found strength in their father's unwavering love, their bond deepened by fire. One evening, months later, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky gold, Jordan and Jada returned to the basketball court. This time, Marcus stood at the sidelines, watching proudly. Jada shot the ball, sinking it through the hoop. She grinned. "See, Dad? We belong here." Marcus smiled, his voice firm but warm. "You belong everywhere." This isn't just a story about one family. It's a reminder of what happens when silence meets injustice. If this story moved you, like the video to show your support. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters. Subscribe to Stories Untold for more powerful stories that reveal hidden truths and shine light on injustice. Because sometimes the most important battles aren't fought with fists or weapons, but with courage, truth, and love.